Well, hello everyone. Greetings and welcome to Shadiversity live stream Q&A. So this is something that I'm going to try and do a bit more regularly, going on into the future. So maybe one a month or whatnot, just to interact with you guys. Have a chat, ask me some questions, see what I can do, and we'll have a bit of a discussion. All right. Of course, one of the first things I see is the big "What about dragons?" Good questions. What about dragons, right? They probably, I don't know, would they like Q&As? Depends. Maybe we could ask the dragons questions. All right, Luke Goldsworthy asks, will Tabletop Time, will it be reborn? You know, hopefully. If any of you do not... First of all, I hope the sound is going good, okay? I hope you can all... It's all good. If there's any problems with the stream, let me know, and I'll do my best to fix it up. But in regards to Tabletop Time, gee, it's about time, isn't it? Unfortunately, Jazza is very strapped. He's strapped for time. I mean, he's very, very busy, and I'm getting busier as well as things grow and I get new projects. It's very difficult. I've talked with Jazza about it, and it's something I want to do in the future. Tabletop Time is when we play role-playing games, basically, and stream it. So, yeah, maybe, but... It'll probably be just a special one-off event, maybe. It'll be hard to bring it back regularly. I would love to, but we will see. And all right, so as we go through the stream, anyone, if you feel like doing a super chat, that's awesome. I'm very grateful for your generosity, and I'll make super chats a priority to try and answer everyone who wishes to do so. And so... Okay, would a giant be able to bring down a dragon using a sling? Well, of course he could. It depends if he's able to hit the dragon, okay? Aiming. So if the giant is close enough, yeah, I reckon a big rock, yay big, hurled by a giant at such speed, that could do some serious damage to a dragon, absolutely. Why stream so late? Because I'm in Australia, right? I'll try and do streams at a better time, but I need to balance it with my own schedule. It's funny, right? Doing a live stream like this, being ready to interact with you guys, answering questions off the fly. I actually need to be in a correct headspace, and it's difficult to be like that early in the morning for me. I'm not sure about you guys, but for me, I'm not a morning person. And so it takes me a couple of hours to kind of oil the cogs and build up momentum and get the old brain working. But the unfortunate thing is the best time for me to stream would be early in the morning, like right when I get up, which is around, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Right here, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon, which I'll try and do it a bit sooner, in future streams, but right here, this is about the best I can do. Okay, so... Moving along in with the chat, we have a super chat here. What are your and thank you, is it Taylor? Thank you very much. What are your thoughts on the castles in the Mistborn novels? Also, what's your favourite Cosmere book and why? Well, I appreciate that you already know that I'm a massive Brandon Sanderson fanboy. Love all his work. Now, in regards to it's interesting that because I've run into this experience when trying to write my own work and stuff, trying to describe a castle in a way where you translate a correct visual image of, say, the shape of the keep and where are the walls and towers and stuff, it's actually very difficult. And if you tried to go into that level of detail, it would be very boring. And I kind of discovered something in my own writing, and this is kind of thing that I noticed with Brandon Sanderson as well, is... people tend to have an idea of what a castle is, okay? And so you say, there's a castle over there with its majestic large towers, its imposing design, like a fortress ready to fend off any attacker. You're already starting to create a visual image in your own mind, and so you can rely on the reader's own imagination to fill in the gaps. And so with Brandon Sanderson... and the castles he explains in the Mistborn novel. First of all, for those of you unfamiliar with the Mistborn, in the main city, there's like massive castles everywhere, okay? Because of all the houses, the families with all the money, they build these massive, large castle keeps that are really, really impressive. And out of the descriptions, Keep Venture seems to be one of the most impressive and largest and things. But as to what it was designed like and stuff like that, I've never really been able to get an accurate translation from the descriptions Brandon has given because you can't go into that detail. It'd be too boring. And so that's really that. But if I had to pick my favourite from the casual descriptions that you get from Mistborn, it would be Keep Venture. And there you go. So we got another super chat. Matty's Modern Life says, can you please say machiculations? Well, I did say it in reading the comment, but I'm sure you are wanting a... Sorry, headphone warning, people. Ready? Machiculations! Ah! Oh, gee, it feels good. Right in the chest. Right in the chest, people. That's how you do it. So there, I hope that pleased you. It pleased me. I have no objections fulfilling requests to do a machiculation screen. Here he is. I gave you warning, but maybe I didn't give you enough warning. A bit of a pause after that. Glorious, thank you. See, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I basically discovered once upon a time that if you're going to do something that has the potential to make yourself look like an idiot, you have to own it and just run with it and just do your best you can. And so with the machiculations thing, if you don't commit to it, it's not going to look right. It has to be from inside. You do it right there. So, someone asked, did you know the Earth is banana shape? I didn't know that, unless there is some kind of subliminal reference that I'm missing here. I don't believe it is. Last time I checked, it was a sphere. But, there we go. Long live Shad. I appreciate that, Keth. I hope I live for a long time, too. What is my favourite book? That's right, because in the previous Super Chat, I think it was also, what is my favourite Cosmere novel out of Brandon Sanderson's book. So sorry, Taylor, for the previous Super Chat. I should answer that as well. My favourite Cosmere novel. See, that's the difficult thing, and see, I'm already doing. I get distracted a lot, but I'll come back to the question. But I get distracted so easily, right? And so, favourite Cosmere book. Gee, I just reread the Wax and Wayne series, and gee, I loved that. But having said all that, of course, the emotional payoff in the conclusion of the first Stormlight Archives book, The Way of Kings, was just phenomenal. I don't think I've ever had a better ending to a book. That was just awesome. Destiny, blank, because I don't swear, but it's still Super Chat from Destiny. Thank you for the Super Chat. Appreciate it. Just casual donation. Awesome. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And then Dragon Hearth X asks, have you read Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks? I have not. I'm assuming this is something you might recommend. And if it is, I'll look into it, because I'm at a place now where I need to start reading a new book, actually. Because tell you what, you know the last video I just made, guys, about what's inside medieval castles and stuff, what rooms? There was so much SketchUp work that I blasted through the Wax and Wayne series with that, because I listen to audiobooks when I do it, and that really helps me just kind of do the drudgery work, because it can be pretty, a lot. It can take a while to do it all. Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks. I might look it up. The next on my list that I want to start reading, actually, because it comes with a lot of recommendations, is what is it? It's like on the tip of my brain, but it's escaping me. Dresden Files. That is, yeah. So I'm going to start. I'll check out the Dresden Files. I don't people have said it's good, and some of what I've heard about it looks interesting. So I think, yeah, I'll give the Dresden Files a look now. So we got a question from Brian Sanders at Shadiversity. Geralt versus the Dragonborn. Who would win? I'm not versed enough in the abilities of Geralt, because I haven't gotten enough into the Witcher series, so that's hard for me to say. But we got a super chat here from same guy, Destiny. Shad, I have an objection on the video you did about dragons, where you said that dragon wings are not big enough. The clear proof is that they can fly is the bees. They defy our aviation laws. Bee dragons, that is true. And I don't know too much about bee flight and stuff like that. I've only picked up a couple of things here and there, and it's interesting the things you can pick up information from. And the information I'm drawing is of my understanding of these, which it's not a good source, okay? So don't quote me on this. It was a Spider-Man novel Spider-Man comic book, where it was fighting a guy who could control bees. And I remember him saying that bees fly through oscillating their wings so much that they create, I don't know, some weird thing but they don't fly through conventional means. But to my understanding is that dragons wouldn't be able to do that because they're too big. Size plays a big, difference in that. So I don't think dragons would be able to fly the same way bees do. Dragons would need to fly the same way the larger animals that fly do. But hey, fair, like maybe if you give them different wings and they are able to flap their wings so fast, who knows? Maybe it could be something. So, that's the interesting thing. If you think outside the box, there are other non-conventional means to answer questions in fantasy, like how dragons could fly. And if you incorporate that into your fantasy, all power to you, because you're the author. You get to say, well, they can fly through I don't know, some different mechanism, but it would have to be a characteristic of the dragon, so you need to kind of tweak them a little bit. Anyway, great question, and thank you for the super chat, mate. Another super chat here by Aaron W. Nichols. Have you considered doing a video on the castles of Gondar in Ethiopia? No, I haven't. And like my area of expertise, really, even though I don't consider myself an expert, but the area where I've done most of my study is, of course, European castles, because medieval, right? I love medieval stuff. And I know that there are many other fortifications outside, and the reason why I don't generally branch outside of the medieval period too much, I do now and then, like with the katana and samurai and things, it's a matter of how much information I have, and I just don't feel informed enough yet to make videos on things outside the medieval period, because I just haven't done enough research, really. And so in terms of castles, the castles of Gondar in Ethiopia, I've never even heard of it, so that's why I haven't done a video yet. Would I, do my research into areas outside the medieval period? It's possible, but I don't know, I love the medieval period so much. And so that's what draws my interest, which then creates my study and how much I read on the subject and stuff like that, which enables me to make videos on the subject, which is why it's so medieval focused. But if I end up finding information I find really cool and then having an interesting thought and stuff, it's very possible. So we got another super chat by Yep. Will you make a video on why people stop wearing armor? It's possible, but the thing is, there are a lot of subjects that I want to make videos on, but they're not necessarily big enough to devote a whole video to. And so, but it's really cool information. Maybe I'm just too obsessed with making long-form videos. I should just stop doing such long form and do little ones here. If it's just cool information. For instance, there's a video I want to do on medieval, like, architectural gargoyles, where the origin and why they were put on buildings. But that video will probably end up being only 3 to 5 minutes long. Still, it's cool information. So. And in terms of why people stop wearing armor, it's kind of self-evident, so it's hard to get a full video out of it, but maybe, so it's very, very possible. Ryan N asks, hey Shad, do you have a PO box where viewers can send you gifts? What's your favorite medieval universe franchise? Okay, thank you for the super chat, and good question. First of all, I do have a PO box, and in fact, it's like I just got one the other week for that very purpose, so people can give me free stuff. Not really. It's a business thing. Because when you start to get a bit more publicly known, you don't really want your private address sent out there. But when you register a business, you need a business address. So PO Box, very good. And if you want to know my PO Box, it's PO Box 500 Moe, MOE, Victoria, Australia, postcode 3825. I should post that on the About tab maybe, or maybe on Facebook, something like that. I don't want it too easily found, but also easy enough for people to find it if they do want to send me, I don't know, stuff to review and things like that. And what's your favorite medieval universe franchise? My own. That's the thing, right? Is I like so many things from so many franchises, but there are always a number of things that I don't really like, or I think they should have done differently. And so what I end up doing is taking up all the things I like and throwing them into one universe and creating my own. And I do have a medieval setting that I've based role-playing games in. Most of the books that I wrote while learning how to write is based in that setting, and so it's had a lot of refinements and stuff over the years. It's called The Realm. The setting is The Realm, and it's a medieval fantasy setting with a magic system and all that cool stuff. And I have to say, that's kind of mine, but that shouldn't strike you as arrogant. That should strike you that it would make sense, because, of course, the setting that I make for myself is going to have all the things I love in it. Otherwise, why would I make it, kind of thing. I make it because I want to make the things that I like. But in terms of if I had to pick someone else's one, oh gee, that's tough. There's too many settings on equivalent standing that I really enjoy. So it's hard for me to pick out one in particular that I like over others. Still, thank you for the question. Dragonhearth, he asks, Lightbringer has physics-based magic off color. Oh, Lightbringer has physics-based magic. Oh, okay, so that was the book series that was suggested to me before. It was confusing me because so thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. But in Brandon Sanderson's Warbreaker, he has a magic-based system that's based off color, and so I was like, Lightbringer, are you talking about Warbreaker? But no, I think I've heard of Lightbringer now. As you mentioned, the magic system based off color, because one of my friends, Rob, who played Tabletop time with us, I remember him telling me about this magic system based off color, and it must have been Lightbringer. So okay, something to have a look at. Reanime Rendiozes. It's an A. Sorry, I'm bad with pronunciation. £5. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated the super chat. He asks, how was magical help during the Middle Ages? Sorry, how was medical help? Sorry. So when I see a word, I don't often read it. I just, see the word and translate it without reading it out. Okay, how was medical help during the Middle Ages? Regularly greeting. Okay, so greetings. So how was medical help during the Middle Ages? So I'm assuming you're asking, was it good? How effective was it? Obviously not very effective. They did not understand germ theory at all. I mean, at all. And one of the main theories of sickness was a thing called miasma, or miasmus, which was that sickness was carried in bad smell or in the air. And so if you got a good smell, all right, that would protect you from sickness, which was completely wrong, but that was their running theory. And so during the time of the Great Plague, if you look up the plague masks, you'll see these weird masks with these really long pointy noses. And what that was for is that they would put incense in the nose to give them a good smell, to overcome bad smell, and that was they believed that they believed that protected them from the sickness of the people that they were administering to, which was completely incorrect. And so because they didn't understand germ theory, people just kept on getting sick, and they passed on disease and sickness readily, and there was a lot of people died because of that. Having said that, though, there were some interesting, insights they had in regards to the types of herbs you could take to help a bad stomach and things like that. And so it's not all, a lot of it is horrible, right? But not everything. Their herbology technology, depending on, the time period, the medieval period and where, and I've only had anecdotal kind of tidbits here and there where I've been picking up this information, so correct me, I could be wrong about this, but the herbology was actually pretty good. So that's what I know about that. Thank you for the question, and greetings to you as well. Quest RPG asks, super chat, thanks mate. Have you ever considered expanding the Fantasy Realm series into a fantasy verse series where you match up the races you've covered against each other races? Yes and no. Maybe. The tricky thing about that is that becomes very subjective, and everything in the Fantasy Realm series is so subjective already. And maybe people will just be interested in hearing my opinions about it. I think a lot of people would probably end up disagreeing with me, especially when you say this race would beat this other race. If somebody loves a certain race and I say they'll lose, they get really bent out of shape, especially if they disagree with my own subjective views as to the reasons I gave. So it's kind of a can of worms, that subject. And the other thing is, even if I was to look at it a more historical thing, rarely is one race universally better than another race unless they have superior technology. If the technology is on about the same level, tactics, okay, the way they fight and the way they set up, they go about skirmishes and stuff like that, and a lot luck, okay, luck plays into battlefield success in such a big way that even if I was to say this race has the edge, that's not to say they'll always win. There's a good chance they'll often lose. So there's a lot to talk about, clearly. It's a thought, so maybe I'll consider it. So thank you for asking. Selena, $10 super chat, so thank you very much. She asks, I should be in bed by now, but I heard you scream ejaculations from all the way on the other side of the Pacific and had to investigate. Have you read The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini? No, no, I haven't. But it actually... the author, specifically the last name, because I have trouble pronouncing it, sounds very familiar, and specifically the Inheritance Cycle. So that's probably something I'll look up, Selena. There's so many good books out there. If you want a good story that is generally does far better in being consistent with magic, overcoming plot holes, and have good characters, literature in terms of, and genre literature even, like fantasy works, stuff like that, generally always does such a better job than mainstream TV shows and movies. And so if you want a good story, you go to books, and there's so many good ones to read, and you guys are suggesting ones that I haven't even, considered to read yet, and there's a lot to do, a lot to have a look at, which means just more fun. It's all good. So thanks for the suggestion. I'll certainly have a look into it. Roll for Damage Super Chat asks, I make terrain and minis for tabletop RPGs. I would like to make something for you in return. What you could use or like. Thanks for the vids. I very much appreciate the offer. Very much. But I've never really used miniatures. The closest thing I've ever come to using miniatures when I tried Warhammer a little bit. But in terms of RPGs, I've never used RPGs as much. And so as generous as your offer is, I just don't see myself using that. Not because you couldn't make excellent, miniatures and stuff like that. It'd probably be awesome. It's just, I wouldn't see myself using it too much. So unfortunately, I'd have to turn you down there. I'm very grateful for the offer. Because the other thing is, I barely get enough time just to play games, period, let alone role-playing games, stuff like that. And I need to make more time for myself, really, because YouTube, the workload builds up. And so I just need to pause sometimes. It's like, all right, time to play a video game. And so, anyway, thank you very much for the generous offer. And another super chat. This is from JG. All right. So, who are your favorite writers, both fantasy and non-fantasy, and will we ever be able to read your books? Well, first of all, I'm right now in the process of making sure you can read one of my books, a book that is good enough that I want to release to the public. I have paid the down deposit for the copy editor and line editor, and it's going to cost a lot, by the way. So I've paid the down deposit, I've sent in the manuscript, and now it's in his schedule, which is in the next month or so. He'll be able to get to doing the copy editing and line editing for the book. And once that's done, I'll need to hire a proofreader, and then I'll basically have a manuscript that's ready for publication. So that's really exciting. But there's a couple of things I need to do before I can release it. I need to get cover art, and good cover art, because I'm gonna this is going to be a professional level book, okay? I'm not going to do it by half measure, so I'm going to get proper good cover art, which is going to cost between $1,000 to $2,000. And then I'm very determined to make an audio version of this book and have it released on Audible. And I want to get a really good voice narrator for it, like really good, which means it's going to cost around $11,000 or something to produce if I get a really good, well-known voice actor to do the audio version of the book. But that's what I do. I want to get the audio version for it and then release it all together. So you will get the opportunity to read it, but there's a couple of things I need to produce and get done before I can do that. But still, thank you for the interest in it, and I'm actually very excited with the interest you guys have in my book, so that's very, very cool. And in terms of my favourite writers, well, Orson Scott Card, Brandon Sanderson, Patrick Rothfuss. I love Tracy Hickman when I was younger, Dragonlance. Who's the guy who wrote the Magician series? Because I really liked him as well, but I forget his name. So those are some of my favourite writers. Okay, so there's a couple more super chats. I'll certainly want to get to you guys. So, do I prefer Chinese or Japanese arms and armor? And this is by Epic Zero Onig. Okay. I'm sure sometimes you guys just pick really difficult, usernames to hear me fail at trying to pronounce them. Japanese generally, but I don't know. But the thing is, that's the thing. Yeah, I don't know enough about Chinese armor to really give a good balanced thing. I just know more about Japanese arms and armor, which is why I kind of go them. And I do love the katana and stuff. And so, but the Chinese arms and armor, there's a lot. Okay, and it's funny. So much of the Japanese arms and armor, I'm already aware of that. The Chinese arms and armor have kind of their own variation and version of it, and so it's very equivalent, and therefore a bit unfair for me to just say Japanese without properly giving due consideration to the Chinese stuff. So that is there. Ryan N says, love the goatee, but can you grow a full beard? Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad you appreciate it. Will I ever grow it for weird? Not really. I think for me, it's just a little too messy, and even this is too bad. I need to get this trimmed down a bit. It's getting a bit wild there. But I'm glad you appreciate it. And I tell you, like, without it, it's not the right look. Now this is a permanent fixture. My face. This is just my face now. I'm glad you like it though. Thank you. Okay, so I think we're up to date with the super chats. The regular chat, very, very active. I appreciate it, guys. We've got a guy saying, greetings from Brazil. I'm a major in philosophy, currently preparing my research for a doctorate here on medieval Portuguese history. We'll study philosophy, so Portuguese, on Portuguese knight orders. Awesome. That's actually something that I want to do more study on, medieval knight orders. Actually, going back to the super chat that JG asked, I didn't fully answer because he asked fantasy and non-fantasy literature. I don't really read too much non-fantasy. That's kind of the thing. Apart from religious texts, okay, if you include the Book of Mormon, because, you know, I'm a Mormon. That might shock a lot of you who are new to the channel, but you guys who already know me, you're already aware of that. And so, yeah, that's and in terms of non-fiction stuff that I consume, I actually prefer watching video format stuff to learn about things, and then I read random stuff on, and so there's not a dedicated non-fiction author that I go out of my way to read. And so anyway, so that answers that on non-fiction. Okay, so we've got a super chat by Lone Wolf. Curious, any video games other than medieval or medieval fantasy that you play? Also, what's the point of having a flared base on castle walls, towers? Thank you for the question. Okay, I'm not sure. Dota is kind of it's very fantasy. Is it medieval? Yeah, a little bit, but I play a lot of Dota. And Fallout 4, man, loved Fallout 4. Played a lot of that, which is not, you know, well, it's fiction. It kind of falls into fantasy, but it's not medieval based. I love sci-fi. I love sci-fi. So if there's a good sci-fi, I'll dive into that. But fantasy, yeah, equally as much. And also the question was, so that was that. And then, what's the point of having a flared base on castle walls, towers? A couple of things, okay? One of the theories that I've heard is that when you drop a rock down through a matriculation, all right, is that it'll bounce off the flared base of the wall towards the attackers, okay? You drop down, bounce off into the walls of the attackers. So that's one theory. Also, structural stability. Having a larger base always helps hold up anything if it's put more centered over the center of gravity, so there's structural support, which is also very useful for that. And there might be one or two other reasons that I would just want to double check before I start waffling on about it, but those are some of the two main reasons that come to my mind. Thank you for the question, Captain Obvious. People call me that a lot. Don't know why. Asks, this is a £10 super chat. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Loved your latest video, as well as the castles you're designing currently. The graphics were fantastic, thank you. Being so simple but so satisfying. Will we be seeing similar videos to the above anytime soon? Well, I hope so. I mean, I want to make the best videos I can always. As to soon, I don't really have anything scheduled per se, but there are a lot of other kind of castle videos that I do want to make, and so when I say soon, I'm like in the next week or so. I'm not sure if there's anything comparable, because that was a lot of work. Like the reason why that video took so much work over others was all the 3D models. So whenever you saw like an internal shot as opposed to an external shot, that was basically another 3D model I had to make on top of the previous one, and they were on the same spot, and I'd used layers to make one invisible and one visible and stuff like that. And so if there's a scene change between two castle shots that only last on the screen for maybe, I don't know, 2-3 seconds, right? That could have had around 2 hours of modeling just to get 2 to 3 seconds of video footage for that. But sometimes I can use a shot and it lasts longer. But when it's time to change a shot to show something else, I need to go back to the 3D model and make it. And so because of that, it took a lot more work. And because of that, I need to then, well, like I said, it takes a lot of work, and but that was needed for that type of video. So if I do another video where I need a lot of visual kind of reference and stuff, I probably will make something like that in the future. there are subjects that I also want to research a bit more, because like I had a suggestion from Pretherium, who's another YouTuber actually, saying that a video on how internal castles were furnished would be great. And that's a great one, but I need to do more research on that topic before I'm ready to do a video on it. But thank you very much for the question, Captain Obvious. So we've got several more super chats. I'll do my best to get through them. Hello Future Me asks, curious that you omitted Tolkien from your fantasy authors. Just wondering any particular reason. Also, cool to hear you're open about your faith. Well, thank you very much. And it's not something that I am ashamed of. In fact, it's something I'm very proud of. And it only comes up when it's relevant, because my channel, it's mostly politically neutral and also theologically and philosophically neutral, because it's about medieval stuff. That's not to say my own thoughts and opinions won't seep in to my videos, because it's impossible. They will seep in now and then. But I want anyone who loves this stuff to feel welcome on my channel, and so that's why I don't go out of my way to politicize it or anything like that. But I don't go out of my way to avoid it when it naturally comes up, like in the course of normal discussion, like already in this live stream. I'm open about it. Something that I love. It's an important part of my life, and I'm glad you appreciate it as well. And so you ask why I omitted Tolkien. So much is so much credit is should go to Tolkien for the foundation he laid in fantasy, which is brilliant. And because of that, I do hold Tolkien up in a very high regard. As to how enjoyable his book is in the way it's written, for me, it was just a little too slow. But that's more due to the nature of the time it was written in. And if I only had Lord of the Rings, it would probably be my favourite book, right? But now I'm comparing it to all these other works that have been written after it, which built upon it, and in many ways sometimes improved a lot of different elements in the Lord of the Rings formula, that I tend to like them more. And that's not a disparagement on Tolkien. It's just to show that because of his foundation, we've just been able to grow and get better. And so that's probably why I didn't list him in one of my favorite authors. And he's not really writing much nowadays, for kind of obvious reasons. And so the other reason why he was probably omitted is that I'm listing authors that are actively writing and producing books at the moment. So that's my answer to that. But yeah, gee, Papa Tolkien, right? Where would we be without him? Thank goodness. Thank goodness for Lord of the Rings and the movies. Good movies. Okay, so Cass Mania? Cass? I'll just call you Cass, okay? What would be a compelling premise for a new fantasy... Okay, what would be a new compelling premise for a new fantasy book? I'm writing one where the gods are essentially playing a game with the main characters as pawns. That's an interesting enough premise. You need premise, then you need setting, and you need a couple of other things that kind of combine in one. So... I can't really give you a good premise. The first one, if I came up with a stupendous premise, I'd want to use it for myself, because I'm selfish like that. And I'm a writer, and so I'd want to write it. But the other thing is, ideas are actually kind of cheap. Even premises are cheap, okay? You can combine any number of ideas to make something unique, and it's in execution, okay? And I think it was Jim Butcher who actually explained this, author of the Dresden Files. I think. I could be getting everything mixed up. Wrong author, wrong person who quoted it. But it's being able to execute the idea, okay? So writing isn't about a good idea, it's about skill. And if you have skill to write, and you know how to pace a scene, you know how to do good characters and stuff like that, and you know how to turn any idea into something engaging, well, you'll still be a successful writer. And that's what I'm certainly trying to achieve. But that doesn't mean good ideas don't add kind of icing on the cake. And so if you come up with a great idea, well, that's even better. So I can't give you one, unfortunately, but they shouldn't be too difficult, okay? If you just think about outside the box, look at many different things, and you'll be able to find something good. So thank you very much for the question. Tron2KSA, hi from Ohio, USA, and hello to you. Have you heard of a YouTuber, Wells Knight, and his Minecraft? He's building a castle as historically accurate as possible, inspired by myself, and which is awesome. And yes, I am very familiar with Wells Knight, and I watched some of his videos, especially when he started that castle, actually, because I was very interested to see how much, I guess, people are learning from my content. And man, he paid attention. He knows what he's doing. Oh, pal, Wells Knight, well done, sir. And I left several comments on his earlier videos, complimenting on that as well. So I know him and love his stuff. He's a great guy, old Wells Knight. So thank you for the question. And we got a question from, is it Führer 001? Is that a trolley name? I don't know. Any thoughts on Total War game series? Unfortunately, no. Well, I have thoughts, but not really credible thoughts, because I haven't played enough. I haven't even played any Total War games. I probably should, but it's time. It's a matter of time. But thoughts about it, it looks good, that's for sure. But that's all I can really say about that. But still, thank you very much for the super chat. Maybe I just need to give Total War another go sometime. Or just give it a go. Next, we've got a super chat from Dragon Hearth. Dawn of Wonder, Awakening by Jonathan Renshaw is another great book. It deals with a lot of real-life problems while having mysticism in the background. Alrighty, I'm bringing up a Word document, and I'll write that down. If anyone suggests a good book, I'll give it a look, see if it piques my interest. So, Dawn of Wonder. Well, thank you very much, Dragon Hearth. I will endeavour to take that a look with your high recommendations, sir. Moving on, this is from Decro Byron, and it's 50,000 something of a currency. But thank you very much. Is it South Korea? South Korea! Wow! I have a sister-in-law from South Korea. Wonderful person, love it. Hello. You have to come to South Korea and visit. I'm not going to try pronouncing it, but it's a castle. Keep up the great work. Well, because I have a sister-in-law from South Korea, it might be possible. Gee, there's so much traveling that I want to do when I'm in the position to do it. But I tell you what, as much as I'd love to go to South Korea, I got to go to Europe first, okay? Castles! But because I've got a relative from South Korea, it's far more likely I could end up going to South Korea than many other places. So, I'll remember that. Thank you very much for the question. Okay, so I think we're up to date with the super chats. And love the activity. Do you got any other question, you guys, in the regular? So someone is asking, salutations, Shadiversity. This is from Frywood. Greetings from Malaysia. Will you research and make content for Total War 3 Kingdoms? How long would you need? And maculations. So, okay, Total War 3 Kingdoms. This is a new one. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with the Total War series. But if you guys are interested, the next thing on my list in regards to game reviews, which I'll do, I've been planning to do for almost over a year, but it's a review of Medieval Engineers. I was one of the first people that bought Medieval Engineers, actually, way back when it first came out. But I was dissatisfied with how intuitive the building system was, and so I've left it to simmer. Hopefully they've added some improved features, and then I'll go in and do a full video review. So that's certainly on the list. As to Total War, that'll have to come afterwards, but it's very possible. So M says, greetings from Canada, Shad. Well, greetings to you, as well. The time zone, it's either 10 o'clock it's between 10 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the US at the moment, judging by the time zone, depending if you lived on the East Coast or West Coast. We got a super chat from Carter Kinoy. Sorry, I'm so bad at pronunciation. That's just a feature. You gotta appreciate. Just get used to it, really. Who is your favorite medieval general tactician? Love your channel and hope you get your books published. Well, it's funny. I hope as well, but that's more in my own court and power because I'm self-publishing now, and so I will be getting them published. It's already in the process. So thank you very much for the encouragement. Favorite medieval general tactician? I don't have one because I haven't studied enough on all the battles of the medieval period to be able to pick out a favorite. And so the thing that I'm starting to look into a bit more closely are medieval sieges, but I don't really pay attention to who's leading what army, but more so the tactics that are employed and how people went about leading a successful siege or a bad siege. And so, like I said, I don't have enough information to answer that one definitively. And some of the only battles I really looked into in detail is like Cressy and Agincourt, kind of the big ones. Because my interest in the medieval period is a growing thing. It's not complete, not by far now, and probably will never be complete. And there's many areas that I have not nearly as done as much research and study on as many of you guys. And so you probably know far more about the medieval generals and tacticians than I do. So unfortunately, like I said, I can't answer it definitively, but I do appreciate your question and thank you for the encouragement. So looking back to the chat at the moment, we've got from says, your videos are very informative. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And the appreciation that you guys have for my videos is something that it's hard to process sometimes, because I don't see myself as anyone special. I'm the same guy as I was before I made these videos. And there are many of you guys who know easily as much as me, if not more, about many of the subjects that I talk about. And I see you guys and think, gee, you guys are easily as deserving as much attention as me. But I guess because I've started a channel and I've done the hard yards, I have this position and this audience, which is just phenomenal, and it blows me away. And so I really appreciate you guys watching my content. It's just awesome. So Quest RPGs asks for another $15 super chat. Thanks, mate. This is the generosity is wonderful. It really is. He says, love your channel, Shad. Your videos have been a huge inspiration for the original tabletop RPG my team is developing, especially the Fantasy Rearmed series, an RPG critique. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. And I really do mean that. And thank you for your generosity as well. And that's not even a question. That's just showing your appreciation. And my goodness, that gives me so much encouragement, enthusiasm to just, keep doing what I'm doing, and just, let's talk about awesome things that we like and have fun. So Brenton Vierlo asks in a super chat, greetings from Iowa. What medieval armor do you find most practical? It's funny because this isn't really effective. It's what is most practical. And if I was to go pure practicality, okay, in terms for comfort, how easy it is to wear and stuff like that, it would actually be almost a toss-up between mail and gambeson. Nowhere near as effective as full plate, and full plate is by far the most effective medieval armor, but in terms of most practical. So when I say the type of armor that's most comfortable to wear while you're adventuring or marching in a unit formation, if you're part of an army and stuff like that, mail and gambeson are far more practical for all the things that you do other than fighting over full plate. And so I'd have to say one of those two, and actually not give the full plate, selection in terms of practicality, but in terms of effectiveness, absolutely full plate blows everything. Full plate's just amazing. Blows everything out of the water. That could have been taken really out of context. Guys, don't take that out of context. I'm watching yous. Okay, we got a super chat from GamerX, and it's a very generous donation. Thank you very much, with no question. So, Mr. Blank Chapman, I don't swear, mate. Okay, so sometimes the usernames I'll just have to put blank in the past, and it's not really a bad, it's not nearly as bad as others. But thank you for the super chat. And you ask, why didn't samurai use shields? This is a much larger question. Metatron has some good videos on the subject, because the Japanese did have, shields, and they different kind of shields, but still shields, before the samurai period. And one of the textbook answers is samurai were more predominantly mounted warriors. You've got to remember that. Samurai started off far more mounted warriors, specifically mounted archers. 2 hands, right? So it's hard to use a shield when you're using a bow, especially on horseback. And that was their main thing, whereas opposed to knights, impact warfare, lance strikes. And that was one of the main strategies. And in that type of mounted combat, you can still use a shield. But samurai, where it's all a larger focus on archery, not so much. And the other big weapon that the samurai use is the spear. And it's the Yumi bow. Is the spear a yari? So I can get them wrong. But yeah, the spear was the next main weapon, which is, again, two-handed weapon. So those are really some of the most basic reasons why the samurai didn't use a shield. And it's not to say that it wouldn't be effective, they really would be. And some people say that the samurai used a type of shield in terms of these really large shoulder plates. And, yes and no. I don't fully consider them shields in the sense that a shield is an active item for defense, where you are holding something and employing it actively for defense, where armor is passive defense, where you're wearing armor in defense. And that's why I don't really consider these big shoulder plates shields. They are big enough to be shields. That's the important kind of comparison why I think some people say these big shoulder plates are shields, because they certainly are big enough. And funny, some type of shields that the knights started to wear in jousting started to be fixed onto the shoulder arm, and then they became like a cross between a pauldron and a shield, and they became like passive shield defense. And so there is a precedent to call them shields, even from a medieval context. So they kind of have shields, but that's what I can say about that just briefly, and thank you very much for the question. Cass Manian asks in a super chat, when a character is meant to be created as a tribute inspiration from another work, game, movie, book, etc., how do you avoid mirroring, copying? Tricky question, because, duplication or copying is, the most sincere form of flattery. And you don't want to do carbon copy, okay? You want to avoid it. But if you want to make a character that's inspired by another character, and even if you're, basing the character traits and stuff like that, go ahead. And if people do accuse you for copying, you'll just have to... But the thing is, the way you answer that is that you would say, yeah, absolutely, because I love his work. Give credit. If you do a blatant copy or something like that, give credit and not only let people assume, openly admit, this character is inspired by this because this thing is awesome. And the other thing is when you're inspired by something, it doesn't need to be a carbon copy. You can just take little things, and if you change things and make it uniquely your own, well, that's your thing, okay? It becomes your thing because you've changed it and you're adapting it and you're making something new. So that's what I would say about that. Bloody Heretic says, greetings, Shad, at Super Chat, and thank you. I'm trying to write a short story, but I'm constantly having 5 to 50 premises run through my head. How does the name... Okay, so sorry, everything just jumped. How does a mere man choose? Okay, well, that is tricky. So you have several premises. What I did with the book that I'm ready to produce, okay, in terms of what I wanted to put into the book, I made a list. I made a list of all the things that I thought was awesome and I loved. I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this. And then I checked out how many can fit together. And if some don't fit because they're just the wrong, size hole for the thing you're trying to, fit, well, you can't fit it in. Don't try and force too much in. That's the mistake that many people say George Lucas did with Star Wars, because he was trying to follow almost a carbon textbook of the hero's journey and stuff like that. And so when he was writing the prequels, he said, well, we have to have an immaculate conception because that's what great heroes have, immaculate conception. And so the midi-chlorians or something gave birth to Anakin because of that. It didn't fit with the lore and stuff like that. So don't force too much in. But if something is awesome and it fits in really well, don't keep it out for the sake of thinking you're fitting in too much in. Fill in your book with as much awesomeness as you can that fits well together, okay? Make it as awesome as you can. So that's what I will share about that. Thank you very much for the question. Pedin1988 asks, Star Wars or Star Trek? Oh, gosh, so hard, because how can you take either franchise as a whole? Thanks to The Last Jedi, right? That has tainted Star Wars forever for me, and I don't even like to think it's part of Star Wars, okay? I don't want to think about it. But there are also other things that I really love about Star Wars that isn't necessarily in the original trilogy. I love the concept of the expanded Star Wars universe with the Jedi Order, like Knights of the Old Republic setting and stuff like that. Those settings are really cool, where the Jedi are in power and doing all their cool things, stuff like that. And so it's hard to take... And this is the same with Star Trek. There are so many series that I love about Star Trek, a series that I don't enjoy nearly as much. Honestly, though, I love them both equally. if you take away The Last Jedi from Star Wars, because each tickles my interests in different kind of ways. I love the action and the epic scope of Star Wars, but I love, the theme, right? The kind of more idyllic, presentation of humanity in Star Trek that they present and stuff. And oh, that was a phone. That was a message on my phone. I'll just get rid of it, otherwise it'll keep tinging. See this professional quality right here. All professional quality. But in terms of Star Trek, there are things that I, don't appreciate, that I think are a bit dumb in Star Trek. In fact, I've been very tempted to make whole videos on the Prime Directive, because there are issues with the Prime Directive. But anyway, to answer your question, honestly, I like them both equally. So we've got Destiny Blanker 9000 asks, how about TTT once a week? Tabletop time. Once a week. I mean, you are streaming for an hour now. Say my name. It is not a swear. It's totally my name. You can trust me. I don't trust you. It's a trap. It's a trap. Escape. I don't trust you. I would really love to pick up tabletop time once more, but with how busy I am, my brother Jazza from Draw with Jazza, I'm hyperbole, not literally 1,000 times, but 100,000 times more busy than I am, and he's got a lot on his plate, and he has a baby on the way that is just announced as well. And just to let you guys know, I'm not sure if you know, I have a baby on the way too, and in fact, my baby is going to be coming in the next month or so, but I'm actually intending to do a video announcement about that. I'll introduce you to my new son when I welcome you in. But gee, I want to do more tabletop time. I'd love to. In fact, I have been considering perhaps starting up a roleplay, YouTube channel separate to tabletop time, because Joss is unfortunately too busy. And to start up one on my own, the issue is, this is the problem about doing that, is finding the right players. The thing that made tabletop time work was all of us guys together. There was just a good dynamic that we worked off of each other. Like Rob's more analytical, straight-faced, thing, especially Mackie, and then me and Jazzo, who were just way too energetic and loud. It just created a really good dynamic. And so creating something new that's, it's not going to be the same, and finding the right players that can do it. So that's where I'm at with that. But I'd love to bring tabletop time back. So we've got Captain Obvious again. Thank you, sir, Captain Obvious. Do you have a favourite type of castle? Kind of. I mean, I love them all. I'm when it comes, it's funny, you could call me a castle snob when I say that's not a real castle, but in terms of real castles, I love them all. So I'm not a snob in that regard. If they're real castles, I love them all. Even neo-Gothic castles, which are not real defensive medieval castles. I love neo-Gothic castles. I love medieval castles. Neo-Gothic, I like the classic fantasy castles. And types of medieval castles, Norman keeps are great. I love the concentric castles. I love the ring. There's a different, the name it escapes me. There's another time. I love them all. So do I have a set favourite? In terms of a single castle that is my favourite, well, that would have to be Honor Guard, the castle I made myself. Because of course it would be. I made a castle to fit my own preferences and tastes. Hey! Rags! Rags is here, mate! This is Rags. If you don't know Rags, YouTuber. Is this the real Rags? Is this the real Rags? Rags and I did a live stream Q&A on his channel. Great guy, awesome, and this is him. It's great to see you, mate. If it's really you, I just can't tell. He says, you know a lot about castles, swords, and historical European combat. So with that in mind, I have to ask, are you a a breasts man or a bottom man? I'll just let you know. The upper half. I prefer upper half. But I'm married, okay? The only upper half I appreciate is my wife. And that's what we will say about that. You're forcing me to go into a path that I don't generally tread in, Rags. But anyway, it's great to see you, mate. And we've got Gamer X asks, hey Shad, I'll say, hey Shad, here's a question and a possible video idea if you want to use it. If you had to use a cave system, as a castle or fortress, how would I do it? Oh, gee. I'll make the layout with fallback positions, traps. It's a trap, lots of traps. Maybe a secret and hidden passageway, main livable sections. It'll be hard to get light in, but that's just me spitballing right off the top of my head. It's an interesting question because people ask me, are bunkers castles and stuff like that? And they, a cave type of castle, you could say it's fulfilling the same purpose as a castle, but after thinking about the subject far more than a regular person generally would, I would have to say bunkers, and even a defensive system in a cave wouldn't really be a castle. See, a castle is a building that has to look like a real castle. That's generally medieval battlements, whether aesthetic or real. That's why a cave or a bunker wouldn't really qualify, though they can fill the same purpose. But still, thank you for your question. What is your opinion of murder holes? They are holes in which you murder people through, and they are deadly. I put them on my castles, and if you have a castle, you should put murder holes on them too. And that's my opinion on murder holes. Thank you for the question. I do appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. And that was from Britton Verlo. We've got another super chat from Discount Viscount. Discount Viscount. And I'm pronouncing it right. This is one of the few things I know how to pronounce, because it's spelled Viscount, but it's Viscount. Okay. As an Aussie, I need to hear your input on the boomerang, and would it be improved by adding a metal edge? Boomerang falls into the same level of effectiveness as, say, throwing daggers or any other thrown type implement. The issue is the quantity of projectiles that you're able to throw at an enemy and how lethal they are. The thing is, in terms of a bow and arrow or crossbow, they are more lethal because they are able to penetrate into vital organs far easier because of the nature of the projectile. It's an arrow, right? And you can hold more projectiles that weigh less and shoot more. And so that's the big advantage of why bows and crossbows are used universally over throwing daggers and throwing axes, and indeed, not to say throwing daggers, throwing axes weren't used, but this also falls into the same effectiveness as a boomerang. First of all, hunting boomerangs, okay, the type of hunting boomerangs that the Aboriginals used, they didn't return. These are not things that swing around and come back, okay? They were projectiles that you threw at an animal to lodge in the animal and kill. And the problem with them, they would be effective, don't get me wrong, they would be effective and you'd be able to kill things with a metal edge, okay? You wouldn't make it so it would return, because if it had a metal edge, how are you going to catch it? And being heavier, it would be harder for it to do the full swing around and return. And then it would be a limited use kind of thing, depending on how many boomerangs you have on you. And so Captain Boomerang from the DC Comics, sorry, mate, he doesn't work, okay? He doesn't understand real boomerangs. Offensive boomerangs don't return, and they're not shaped in the exact same, like one end is longer on a hunting boomerang than the other. I know a lot more about boomerangs than I thought. So I'm glad you asked the question. Thank you for the question. So Destiny Blank 9000 again asks, answer this mystery. I longed for an answer. Why did Mackie stop of Dungeons and Men after the first launch? Also expand on medieval Middle East or India. All right, 2 questions. I think Mackie stopped me. I don't know, you'd have to ask him. But I think one of the difficulties that I know I'll run into, and probably Mackie was running into as well, is finding the right dynamic with the players, okay? If you really want a successful streaming role-playing game thing, you need a good dynamic between the players, because they're the ones who are bringing the interest, the interactivity, the fun, the jokes, and everything like that. And so if you just don't have a good group dynamic, it's not going to work as well. And I think that's one of the problems that Mackie might have run into. But also, I don't know, did he get busy? Unfortunately, I haven't seen much of Mackie since we stopped doing Tabletop Time. That's the sad thing. My personal life isn't nearly as prolific as you might assume. I don't have many friends, but that's because I'm too busy as well and stuff like that. And I got a family to raise and things. Anyway, so that's what I can say about that. And also expand on medieval Middle East or India. It's funny, I want to learn more about India, and I already am starting to learn a bit more about India, because I think India is sometimes not given the credit it deserves for the awesome swords that they produce, like Damascus steel, right? And stuff like that. India, they figured out a lot of stuff earlier than other people, and they have a really intriguing weapons culture and stuff. And so if there was any other culture that I'd probably expand into, because I've already expanded into Japanese stuff and medieval, it would probably be Indian next, because I have a growing interest in Indian weapons and stuff. And as to Middle Eastern, that's another, I'd probably explore Indian before Middle Eastern, but that's another thing that, I'd approach. But I always look into things based on my interest. And I follow my interest where they take me. So thank you very much for the super chat and the question. So we've got a question from Stephen Skillern. He says, I love your castle model. If it was possible, would you let your castle be implemented in a movie or game? If it was possible, yes, but I'm working on something special in regards to my castle model. And that's all I will say about that. Mystery! Mystery! What is it? What shall we say on it? But that's all I will say about that. I'm working on something special for my castle model. But you have to wait for a good couple of months to see if I can do something awesome with it. But anyway, yeah, like in a movie, awesome. There's another message on my phone. I'll have to leave it. Okay, so I got a question from Shibbity Joe. I got two questions. A simple one. How would magic affect the use of firearms, and how would anthropomorphic animal people use armor and weapons? Those are big questions. Those are video topics, and I can't, unfortunately, do proper justice to them. And so the first one, how would magic affect the use of firearms? Well, it depends what the magic can do. That's a very subjective kind of, it depends. It depends a lot. Because if the magic array is able to be used offensively like firearms, well, why would you even bother using firearms unless the firearms are more effective? And then the magic would be used less so and in other things. So that's a very contextual thing, and yeah, it requires more time to explore more fully. And then we've got another question. The next one is anthropomorphic animal use armor and weapons. Again, that's a larger topic. That is a larger topic to explore. Okay, now, guys, I'm gonna we won't be pausing. I'll finish the super chat, but the stream has been awesome. Really appreciate you guys jumping on board and having this awesome chat, asking these questions, and your super chat donations is wonderful. But because we are reaching that time, I'll have to say thank you for the super chats, but probably time to stop, and I'll get through the last remaining super chats, and then we will sign off, and that will be this live Q&A, and we'll leave it there. So I'll finish them off. Thank you for joining us, and let's finish off these super chats. So we've got a £10, I think that's pound, for super chat from Luca Nick. He says, "Hi Shad, I like your channel and I want to support you. I have a blog dedicated to Japanese military history. It's called Gunbai, Ancient Japanese Warfare. You might find it interesting for reference." Indeed, I might. I might find it so interesting that I'm going to make a note of it to look it up. And thank you for your support, mate. I really do appreciate it. So, Gunbai, Japanese history. Okay. And yeah, history there. Alright, so thank you very much for the super chat. And, whoa, I think we just got a whole lot of super chats because you guys saw that I was finishing up. All right, I got to finish. No more super chats. I appreciate it, all right? If you do another super chat, I might not be able to get to it. So we'll have to try and leave it there. Practicality of scythes as kit for large flying beings. Would they be viable or good? Or would they compare to spiked boots or other gear you mentioned? Okay, the danger is getting the weapon stuck in your opponent. And the problem with scythes is that they're slashing weapons. And so if you're going to do this big slash, because you might say, well, what about piercing, like the boot spikes and stuff like that? Because the angle of the boot spikes, there's a high chance you'll be able to release the spike from the thing, but the slashing one, trying to pull the slash out could throw off the flying pattern, and so that'd be a bit more dangerous. And that's my thoughts on the scythes. But still, thank you very much for asking. Bradley Zakany asks, have you read Dresden Files? If so, how defensible do you feel Arctis Tor is? Or on a different note, how do you feel about time travel stories? Okay, well, I'm predicting that you joined us after the live stream began, because towards the beginning I did mention that the next book I'm going to start reading is the Dresden Files, which will answer your question that I have heard of them, but I haven't read them yet, and so I can't answer my feelings on the Arctis Tor. My feelings about time travel stories, if it's done right. Okay, there are time travel is something that I particularly can enjoy, but because as a pet interest, I've studied time travel, about the ones that are most likely to exist, or to actually work without causing universe-destroying paradoxes and stuff like that. When I see a movie do something that should have caused a horrible paradox, bugs the heck out of me. Can't stand it. And so there's a really good time travel movie that did this really well, but I can't remember the name for it. So unfortunately, because I'm thinking, no, it's not Synchronicity. It's something else. But it was a really good one. But anyway, thank you very much for your question. So we've got another super chat here. This is from Mr. 77. Have you ever looked into Aboriginal weaponry? I remember a news story about how recent discoveries found their wooden weapons were just as effective as steel. I'd be dubious about that, okay? When people are wanting to get views and stuff like that, they like to sensationalize their titles and take things out of context. Now, as effective, look, wooden weapons can cause as much damage as steel, but would they be as effective? Now, that means retaining an edge, their durability and how well they work in the long run. Wood will never compare to steel. Steel always beats wood. But in terms of how lethal wooden weapons can be, well, yeah, wooden weapons can be huge lethal, okay? I would never see, I would not expect to see a wooden weapon be able to chop someone's arm off. But if you could prove me wrong on that, I would find that really intriguing. So that's my, skepticism about that. But as to my breadth of research into the Aboriginal weaponry, only mild research have I done. Again, it's all about interest. And right now I have a building interest in more Indian weapon that's probably going to draw my attention. And I'll probably be looking into that before any Aboriginal weapon. And I only have a basic kind of understanding. Though it turns out I guess I knew more than I thought about the boomerang. And I know some of the other weapons that I've just picked up over my life, growing up. So yeah, maybe I do have a decent enough working knowledge. But that's what I can share about that. Thank you very much for your donation and your question. Clockwork, $20. Thank you, sir. Asks, your video where you walked through Rattay in Kingdom Come Deliverance and evaluated the defenses was great. I enjoyed your enthusiasm. Thank you, sir. There's something about the extremely excited Australian. Thank you for your content. I appreciate that, and I'm glad you appreciate. I can get too excited, but I also enjoy it, and of course, I also understand that I'm performing. Like in this live stream, this is performer Shad on the mode here as well. And I'm not lying, I'm not putting up a fit. This is me, but it's not something I can maintain forever. It takes energy to be so excitable and stuff like that. And certain things do get me legitimately excited. But of course, my regular standard level of energy is not as high as what you're seeing now, but it's not like I can't get like that when I'm not performing and I'm just in my normal self and stuff like that. You have moods, okay? But I certainly channel a certain mood when I'm, doing this stuff to be more engaging and hopefully more entertaining. And the extremely excited Australian, that's a good and apt description, and I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you. So Tron2Kese asks, hi from Ohio. Have you heard of Worldbuilding, Minecraft YouTuber who is building castle and inspired by videos? This is a repeat question, I believe. Unless you've already asked it, or you're asking it again and you're donating again and just asking it, I appreciate that. But if this is a different person asking the same question, well, there we go. There's an interest. And yes, of course, I have heard of Worldbuilding. I watched his videos and he's learnt well. Old Welsh Knight has learnt well, and he is actually, as he explains how he's building a castle, he is also educating his audience on how to do castles and the correct way to do it as well. So he's doing the right way, and love him. Welsh Knight is great. And that is the ends of the super chat, and this live stream has been going for over an hour now. So we'll have to pause there, guys. Gee, it's been awesome. Look, I love interacting with you guys, okay? And I think I mentioned this in the last live stream session as well, but I want to mention it again, is my audience, you guys, actually really impress me on many levels. You impress me with your attitude, how polite you are, how insightful and intelligent you are. I learn so much from you guys from the comments below, and how funny you guys are. You guys are just good-natured, and the jokes you throw, and I love that, we all love to get on the what about dragons and matriculations and pummel throwing bandwagon and all that stuff. And because it's not just in, our community here on Shadiversity, it's the sword community as a whole and stuff. We have this awesome community, and so I really appreciate you guys. I love you, all right? I love you, okay? And I'm being sincere about that. Many times when I've been reading the comments and stuff, I just get blown away how great you are, because there are so few trolls. There's the odd one, now and then, but there are so few trolls here on Shadiversity, and it just leaves the awesome guys like you. So thanks for joining me in this Q&A. It's a pleasure to do so. I'll certainly be doing more in the future. Thank you for joining me, guys, and until next time, farewell.